Hello, Quest fans. Paladin Patrick here with another Q&A, and this will be the last time I call it a Q&A. I will still take suggestions for the name of this little thing I do. However, right now in my mind, we have a front runner, and to be fair, I'll stick with what I said. I'll post the top three, but this is definitely going to be one of the top three. My brother Ryan has just tweeted a suggestion, and he originally said Quest and Ansgar. I'm going to extend that to questions and Ansgars. Little play on words. My family loves puns, much to the chagrin of a lot of people around us. So, speaking of family, let's get right to questions. And my sister Erin Sexton has the first few questions. She asks, how heavy was that cage? It was not a prop. That was steel or iron or something, and probably weighed between 50 and 75 pounds. I'll have to ask either Jane or Mark to see exactly how much, because I am kind of curious myself. But yeah, it was really freaking heavy. We'll leave it at that. So kudos to the ladies for, taking that challenge on and really not complaining and just doing it, even with Bonnie getting injured. I mean, I really believe that if we hadn't been able to help her, that she would have finished, because she's not only got a big heart, but she's a tough girl. Aaron also asks, why couldn't you go down and help Sir Ansgar without using the Scorpion? Well, one, I don't think they wanted us to, and two, it was a really long run to get there, and that particular day was also very hot. That string of, I think, episode 5 and 6 at least, they were having some of their hottest days, some record-setting temperatures in Austria, along with humidity. It was like 100 degrees and like 400,000% humidity. So it was really hot. But more so, I think it was intended for us to just stay there and try and get the Scorpion together. Besides, by the time we would have been able to get down there, Sir Ansgar would have single-handedly beaten the ogre, and he wouldn't have had an audience to turn and gloat to. So, and I'm convinced that Sir Ansgar loves an audience. Yeah, so, but it was neat to see. And it was really hard not to just sit there and watch him take down this ogre by himself. Aaron also could not quite hear what Sir Ansgar said happened to his wife. Essentially, it sounded like she died during childbirth. He did say that she had been pregnant, and that, I think his exact words were, we were going to have a child, but then she died. So I kind of made that connection that she probably died during childbirth. And by the way, that whole backstory about him and his wife and Hera, and how at least he has his sword, he's got his sword and his queen, and that's okay. That was all improv. So, amazing job by him. Great and sad story. It was neat to kind of have that little wrinkle added to that character. And then Aaron also asks, did Bonnie dislocate her thumb? Ouch. Yeah, ouch is a good word. We're not quite sure what she did to it. All I know is I just talked to her earlier this week before she had her vocal surgery. So the world will be a quieter place without Bonnie for about 2 or 3 weeks and her awesome voice. So that's going to be sad, but I did talk to her for surgery. Get well soon, Bonnie, if you're watching this. Hurry back. And I think she had said that it hurt for like a month afterwards. And I saw a couple people had mentioned that they thought that maybe they thought she was faking it because she was able to hold the sword up when Sir Ansgar asked her to. But I can assure you that she was in excruciating amounts of pain while she was doing that. And when he asked her to hold the sword up, she was just doing a phenomenal job of covering up her pain and hanging on to that sword for dear life, because she was afraid she'd get kicked off if she, was unable to continue because of a hand. So I'm glad we didn't have to find out what would have happened. Jennifer Skiana, Jennifer, you're going to have to type out the pronunciation of your name, because I know you ask a question at least every week, and I really want to make sure I get this right. And that goes for anyone. If I mispronounce your name and you want to ask me a question again, please just type in the pronunciation so I don't screw it up. But Jennifer says, you have said that you wore time period appropriate clothing and ate period-appropriate food. How about the medical care? With Bonnie's thumb and your eye, did you guys have medical care, or was it just Sir Ansgar telling you to rub some dirt on it? Castle Sanctum has amazing healers. Unfortunately, they don't have our modern medicine, so there were no x-rays they could take us to. We just saw the castle healer, and I was informed that there was really nothing that could be done for my eye, and they managed to summon up some ice for Bonnie's thumb, and that was about the best that we could do, along with some, medicinal herbs and potions and that kind of thing. But nothing that really nothing happened during the first 5 or 6, the 6 episodes that we've shown so far. Nothing's happened that has required serious medical attention, other than Ashley getting some of the skull in her eye in the episode that she went home on, which was a little frightening having that. And Jasmine, actually, during Battle Dome, again, it was really hot and humid at that time as well, and I don't know if it was the heat and the humidity combined with the fumes of whatever it was that was fueling those fire pits around the courtyard, but she had kind of like an asthma attack. She's not asthmatic, I don't think, but she had like an asthma attack, and so they did a real good job with the editing, where you really don't notice that she had stepped off camera, but she was off camera for a little bit. But again, great Everrealm lozenges helped that out as best they could. But yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Jennifer also asks, in regards to Christian, he didn't think that scheme all the way through. Would he have made it further if he hadn't hatched that awful idea? In parentheses, would he have gotten yet another chance? And or was it in his time in Everrealm just about up regardless? I think short of winning the Fates Challenge, he was done. I really don't see, even with his bromance with Andrew, any way that he could have saved himself. It was Andrew that came to me and told me about Christian's harebrained scheme to pick a losing team and then rely on his friends to vote, to keep him should he not win the challenge. And that just makes no sense to me. Why not just pick a team and win with that team rather than even put yourself in that position? So that was my thought on it. All things aside, Christian is a really nice guy outside of Everrealm. And he was nice while he was there. It's just that's how he played the game. And in my opinion, it was a poorly thought out tactic. And if he's guilty of anything, it's just having his game backfire on him. In most reality shows, it probably would have been widely accepted, but not in a show where you're trying to find the one true hero. But as far as like Christian as a person, he's a good guy. I know, like with the AfterBuzz TV interview that I did yesterday, and that sentiment's pretty wide from what I've seen, like on Twitter, that he's evil. It's about time, and all these nasty comments. You know what? Just stop with him. He's a good guy. He knows that he should have done this whole thing differently. And that's all I'll say about that. As far as how he played the game, that's a different story. I was irritated beyond belief with that. Okay. David Patterson asks, about your eye, from your previous videos, it looks okay now, but did it require any stitches? No, it wasn't cut. The only cut I got was on my nose. My eye was just really swollen and this crazy shade of purple, which is why Sir Ansgar calls me Lady Patrick, because it really did. It was like this whole area up here, and it was like, it was violet, like a bright violet, almost neon. Like, I swear if they had a black light there, it would have glowed. But luckily for me, they've got great filters on the cameras, and they made it look dark and a little bit worse by doing so. I mean, it didn't look worse. It didn't look as makeup-ish, I guess is the best word I can think of off the top of my head. But I didn't need any stitches for that. I didn't need any stitches for my nose. Also, when Bonnie thought she'd broken her hand, would that have eliminated her from the show? I don't know, and I'm glad that I don't know, and I'm glad that we didn't have to find that out, because it wouldn't have been the same without her there. We wouldn't have gotten that great song, Sir Ansgar the Fierce, at the end of the episode if she had had to go home. So thank God that didn't happen. For that matter, were there any serious injuries that stopped filming as far as I can answer? No, nothing that stopped filming. I mean, like I said, Jasmine had to step off camera for a little bit because of her little asthma attack. I shouldn't say little, but it's pretty severe. But that was it. Nothing that actually stopped filming. So now Melina, you snuck a question in here. So I heard you and Christian are best friends. Is this true? You are so funny. You know the answer to that. All right, moving along. Ricky Permateo and my sister Erin asked, what happened to your eye in the cage challenge? Somewhere between going through one of those wooden tunnels, because I knew it couldn't have been earlier. It was one of those times where I had the cage on its side and it was actually crawling. Somewhere between there and me throwing the cage off myself, I banged it on something, and I didn't even know it was swelling up until we were at the table discussing the banishments. So, at that point, that's when I first started feeling the swell. The cut on my nose, I know I got from the helmet. When I was taking the cage off, the helmet kind of pushed down right here and cut my nose. So that's how that got there. But the black eye could have happened at any time. I think someone said you can see the exact moment when he did it, so that's possible. I could have very well done it to myself after I had already successfully finished the challenge, which would be just awesome of me, let me say. Ricky also asked, what were you guys drinking with Sir Ansgar? We were drinking wine. The second time we got to drink in Everrealm, which was, again, fantastic. And again, I think I helped myself to a second glass. And luckily, this time, no one got poisoned. So, even better. That was awesome. Ricky also asks, were you into CrossFit before the show? Yeah, I was. Off and on for probably about 2 years. I was doing CrossFit. I was just coming off an injury when the show first started doing the casting for it and the auditions for contestants. So I wasn't in the best shape then, but by the time we actually shot the show, I had gotten in pretty, back to pretty good shape. So he says I asked because folks were so fit in the show, and I don't know how much was preparation or gains during the show or lifestyle pre-show. I think a lot of it for a lot of us were lifestyle before the show. It just happened to be that's the kind of lifestyle we led, where we stayed. I mean, Andrew's a personal trainer, Shondo's an MMA fighter, Adria does weightlifting, Jasmine does yoga, and I'm sure there are, the others. I mean, Jim does his Quidditch, which if you haven't seen that looks like a workout and a half. So, but yeah, we all definitely got fitter as the show went on. I mean, we were eating healthier food because they don't have all the additives and artificial crap in it that we do here in the great US of A. And we were being very active. I mean, walking or running miles a day, swinging swords, doing all kinds of stuff in heat. So, yeah, we definitely got into shape while we were there as well. All right. Jacinth, I hope to God I said your name right. If I didn't, again, another person that should correct me. And your name is spelled Gagnon. So it's either Gagnon or Gagnon. I'm going to go with Gagnon since that sounds better. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you figure out before seeing the show that you were not supposed to be able to assemble the Scorpion? In parentheses, shooting arrows at a person disguised in an oversuit is not really appropriate. The producers, I am positive, purposely left out pieces of the Scorpion so that would not happen. And we figured that out when we got the Scorpion together pretty quickly. I mean, they do a good job of showing the initial chaos when we were trying to get it together. But once pieces started going where they should go, it was rather quick that we got it together. But crucial parts that would allow us to fire the Scorpion were missing. So that's why that didn't happen. And probably a good thing, because if you think back to episode 1, really none of us did a very good job of hitting anything. I mean, there was winners and there were losers, and I was on the losing team for that challenge, but none of us did a good job of hitting a lot of targets given all the arrows that we had and everything. So and Sir Ansgar probably would have been in more danger than the ogre. Let's see. Joff Brown. Joff, I hope your name isn't short for Joffrey, because if so, it's a very unfortunate thing after Game of Thrones. Says, Patrick, it's clear that all the Paladins were deeply involved in and committed to the experience. In the last couple episodes, it's blatantly apparent how emotionally invested you all are. How intense and immersive was the experience without giving anything away, and did you want it to end? No, we absolutely did not want it to end. I missed the hell out of my family, that's for sure, but if I had them with me there at the castle living this Everrealm life, I don't think I would have ever wanted it to end. It was that cool. And as far as like getting deeply involved in and committed to use your words, and emotionally invested, it was just, I think it was by about the third or fourth episode, and it was just when we were shooting, it did not take long to just immerse ourselves in this world and forget that this was all just a show. So that was really, really neat, and the producers did a fantastic job of just helping to make that happen. And, you know, with things not being set, with us being in a real castle and running through the woods, and it not be like we're running through this 10-yard area over and over again. So that was really cool. And we've got to give credit to the producers really for helping to make that happen, because this easily could have gone sideways if they tried to cut corners, and they did not. All right, Annabelle Hines, what did you see that the audience didn't at the end of the latest episode, which was supposedly Verlox? You're going to have to watch on Thursday and find out. You'll see. Just be patient. I'm not going to spill the beans on that. And here's a question I can answer. Has your opinion of the other Paladins changed at all since you started seeing their confessionals during the show? No, because like with Christian, it's not who they are as people that we're seeing in there. It's more about how they're playing the game, and how what their approach to the show is and whatnot. So I really don't think it does a good job of, I mean, and it's not the show that doesn't do a good job. I think you put anyone in a competitive situation and they're going to say things in the heat of the moment, and they're going to do whatever they can to win. And so it hasn't changed my opinion of anyone, though. I mean, everyone, I think all of the Paladins we all consider each other very, very close friends. And I hope that at some point we can all reconnect in person, face to face. So. Barry Matas, I was surprised to see the Paladins practicing with metal swords without any kind of face shield. Did the producers decide that face shields would be less dramatic and less realistic? Did anyone get hurt because of it? No one got hurt. A few people might have taken a sword across the knuckles, but nothing serious. The guys that trained us, and I mentioned this in the last one, the Austrian historic medieval battle team did a fantastic job of making sure that we were swinging at specific areas and that there was this distance between us, which is why you see me on the dummy, hitting the dummy most of the time, and not practicing with other people, because my sword, I was the one who got a two-handed sword because of my size. And so that changed the reach. It wasn't a similar reach between swords, so it made it harder to practice against someone else, and it would have been a little bit more dangerous, I think. I did get to practice with other people, so that was good, especially when I liked when we did. You can see it during episode 5 briefly if you're paying attention, where we've kind of got this like circle of 3 or 4 of us kind of trading blows back and forth between everyone, and that was neat, and it worked out well for that. But yeah, I don't know that they did it because they're worried about how it looked. I think it made sense, and the face shields were unnecessary because we got such good and thorough training from the Austrian guys. So, Joji, Heinrich, thank you so much for the awesome training, by the way. And everyone else on Team Bloodhounds. Oh, let's see. I answered that question. Shirley has a couple questions. You did a drawing of Paladin Katie that you shared earlier on Facebook. Is it finished? Yes, it just needs a little bit of color. School year started, and I got caught up with that. It's been a hectic time adjusting to like a different school and teaching different subjects. I will get it done. I will get the other Paladins done and answer the other question. And there's a beep. Has nothing to do with the show. Don't worry. It's just my coffee. But yeah, and I will be getting them all done. And as I get them finished, I will post them again. I need to make time for myself to finish these because I really enjoy doing it. Shirley also asks, or says, Bonnie gave us another great song. Do you think Sir Ansgar was pleased? Yes, he was absolutely pleased. It was a song about him. Of course he was pleased. And it was a very flattering song about him. He really became one of you, which felt good. Yeah, I mean, it's really neat if you go back to the first episode and you watch his character evolve over the course of these 6 episodes. It's really neat to see how he goes from being someone that's just following his queen's orders and he doesn't care about us and he's just going to train us to someone who really truly does feel like a part of us. It's almost like we have 13 paladins and not 12, except he's eternally safe from elimination and banishment. So in some ways that's kind of unfair. But no, it's been great seeing that from him. Let's see. Whitney Peterson has a few questions. Who decides what order the Paladins vote when choosing who to stand behind? It's completely random. We don't usually know each other's votes, and the order is randomly chosen. That's about all. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but that's pretty much how it plays out. While you were in Everrealm, how much did you know about Christian's plans? Up until episode 5, nothing at all. I knew nothing until Andrew came to me and told me about his approach to the team challenge with the battering rams. And as you saw, I was extremely livid. Pissed off does not begin to describe it. I mean, you could just go back and rewatch the episode and look at my face starting it around the sword practice, and you'll have an idea as to what was going through my head. What kind of math do you teach? I teach currently this year. I teach honors pre-calculus and honors geometry, so which is a lot of fun because I love geometry. So any year that I get to teach honors geometry is a good year for me. Robert J. First off, love the show. Thanks. We love it too, and we hope that it comes back for another season. We really, really, I would love to see what they would do with a second season. I hope you win because I have money riding on this with my other half. Stone face. I'm not giving anything away. Sorry. 1. Where was all this filmed? Did you get to explore the area beforehand? It was filmed just outside of Vienna, Austria, about 40-45 minutes, and the name of the castle was Burg Krusenstein, I think. I'm probably butchering the name, but if you type in Burg, B-U-R-G, space K-R-E-U or U-E-S, it should autocomplete, and you'll be able to see a lot of the history on the castle. It's a pretty amazing castle. We did not get to explore the area beforehand. So where you just picked up and dropped in a forest with not having a clue where you were, that's exactly what happened. We were blindfolded, so we really didn't know. We were blindfolded, taken to the forest, blindfolds were taken off, and then literally once the blindfolds came off, it was like it was just us standing there. So the camera guys were well hidden. It was literally like exactly like you said. We just got dropped in the middle of a forest. More Everrealm magic at work, I tell you. Also, after the show had wrapped up, who did you continue to stay in touch with or would call a close friend that you would take time to visit or see? I consider them all close friends in their own respect, but obviously Bonnie, I've mentioned, I talk to on a weekly basis, if not more often. I chat with Andrew now and again on Facebook. He and I had just the other day got into a little pun war with some of our Quest Army followers. If you weren't a part of that, you missed out. If you were a part, sorry for the puns. Letitia and I have messaged a few times. Jasmine and I talk publicly over Facebook now and again. Adria, again, another someone I'd love to see. Actually, Bonnie and I are going to be at Fantasticon in Milwaukee at the end of October, and we're hoping that maybe some other Paladins will join us there. And we would love to see you guys. So if you're out there, please come out, stop in at the show. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to doing it. So it'll be a chance to see at least Bonnie and I. Maybe Adria, maybe we can get Katie to come up from Chicago, and who knows who else we can drag up, hopefully. Let's see. So yeah, that answers that question. Sandra Siegel, how bad did your eye hurt from the cage? It didn't really hurt, but it was really swollen. The show is awesome. Great. Another thumbs up. How does one get on the show? It looks so incredibly fun. We need it to get renewed. So keep telling your friends, keep spreading the word. Our ratings have gone up each week, and we need to continue that trend. So if we get a second season, then just keep following Mark Ordesky, Jane Fleming, Rob Eric, and you will know whenever they're doing some kind of casting or auditions for it. Trust me, they are very active on Twitter. Robbie Carter, if given the chance, would you become a contestant on a future season without batting an eyelash? Even if it wasn't as a contestant, but as like a mentor to new contestants, I would do it in a heartbeat. Are you a fan of the fantasy genre? Let's see. Now this is just within arm's reach. I've got my Lord of the Rings book. I have a helmet. I have anything else right nearby? Nothing close by, but that's just with what's within reach. So, yes, I am a fan of the fantasy genre. That's an understatement. Okay, Riley Poe, were you fitted for your costume, or is it one size fits all? We were all fitted. Those costumes were made for us. So each one that we're wearing is for us. We're really hoping that Disney/ABC gets them back to us because we sweat on them. We bled on them. We endured a lot. They're not going to fit anyone else unless you typecast your contestants, but you don't want to do that. Have a second season. Give us our costumes back. Make something new for the new Paladins. Please. Yeah. Chris Sapp, a.k.a. Bear Bear the Barbarian. Love the name. Awesome. How tall are you? I'm 6'2". I weigh about 225, 230. I hover in that area. So I'm probably not as big a guy as you with a name like Bear Bear the Barbarian, but I actually had to mention that because my nickname on the show, I know people have probably heard Bonnie refer to me as Brother Bear, but that whole bear theme was something that kind of caught on, not by me, but like Andrew and Shondo, and then they'd call me like Oso or Oso Grande, which in Spanish, of course, means, big bear or large bear. Jasmine called me Baloo. So yeah, there was some kind of bear theme going on there. Shoe size. Anywhere between 11.5 and a 12.5, depending on the brand. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm sure you're a much bigger guy. Just from your profile picture when you sent me that message with the questions, you look like a big dude. Let's see. Andrew Cowan. I got the name right. If you could save any banished paladins, who would you save? It's a tough question. I really kind of would like to bring back any or all of them, just to keep the show going. But no, if I had to pick one, if I was forced to pick one, I think I would have to pick Katie for the sole reason that she didn't get to experience nearly as much as Everrealm as she should have. And I would love for her to be able to have that experience that we did and have more time in Everrealm because her time was cut short way too quickly. So anyway, that about does it for this week. Much longer video. We're closing in on a half hour now. So if you stuck with me, thank you. If you didn't, I completely understand. And let's see what the show is called next week. Tune in for our double episode this Thursday. Have a good one, guys.